What's going on? This is Emran and I'm gonna be doing my World Cup takeaway series. I'm gonna try to do it day to day to the best of my abilities. I didn't do one yesterday because yesterday was only 2 games. Today's 2 games, so this is essentially the first one for the 4 games, and then tomorrow's gonna be 4 games, and it's gonna be like that for the foreseeable future. So we're gonna be on track, and I'm gonna keep them daily. But for now, I'm gonna combine these 2 days, and we had the three host nations kick off their tournaments. Mexico defeating South Africa 2-0 in dominant fashion. Canada salvaging that draw with the late equalizer from Kyle Larin 1-1 against Bosnia, and the United States getting that dominant 4-1 win over Paraguay. We also had South Korea defeat Czechia 2-1 in honestly my game of the tournament up to this point, in terms of entertainment, of course. So, but we do have to start off with what I just watched recently. The United States, oh, wrong side. The United States smashing Paraguay 4-1. Wasn't even close from the beginning. In the first half, just completely battered them. Controlled the ball for more than 70% of the game. And I just want to say, I was just so impressed that with the fact that everybody looked so comfortable, everybody looked confident. Christian Pulisic, he came in. We were worried about his form, not scoring for AC Milan since December, but being able to score that goal against Senegal. When he scored that goal, I immediately know, okay, this is gonna be different. Because Pulisic is a type of player when it's off, oh my goodness, he will be the worst player on the pitch. But when he's on it, he is the best player on the pitch. We saw what he looked like in lockdown for Chelsea. That's just something about him when he's feeling it, when he's confident. And he was feeling it today. Balogun scored 2 goals, but he was still my man of the match, even with the fact that he only played 45 minutes due to them taking him out for precaution after they were up 3-0. I just thought he was brilliant. He was splitting defenders. He was direct. He was attacking a player. The right back on that side ended up having a yellow card, and he was attacking him, and he just looked so sharp. But the thing that impressed me so much is that everybody looked sharp. Everybody looked confident. You had Malik Turner playing great balls, finding themselves in little pockets, doing little things. He had a nice flary type of flick on as well to McKennie. I thought Robinson was picking up nice spaces. It was energetic going up and down that left hand side and was getting into the attack, and it was a nightmare for the Paraguayans to defend. I thought I talked about Malik. I thought Alex Freeman as well played a really good game. I thought Chris Richards and Tim Ream swept it up very nicely. They could smoke cigars in the back. They had nothing to worry about. The Paraguay didn't cross the halfway mark in that first half. They had a one opportunity like 1 minute into the game. Then genuinely, I don't remember them entering the box in that first half or the first 60 minutes for that matter. It was just complete and utter domination. Tim Ream and Chris Richards, I thought they swept up everything. I thought, when they needed to, join in and play a ball to get it into the midfielders, I thought they did that really well. I think Chris Richards had a crazy stat, 82 of 82. When they needed to take care of danger that never really occurred, they took care of it. It was just crazy. Even what was so impressive is arguably the USMNT's best player entering this World Cup, and not most talented, because Pulisic is the best player. Pulisic is the most talented player. But based on form, arguably our best player entering this World Cup was Weston McKennie based on what he did at Juventus. Even when there was like a top 100 ranking list, I think Weston McKennie was 73rd, while Pulisic was 76 of players at the World Cup. Weston McKennie just came in better form. And in my opinion, he didn't have a bad game, because you could not have a bad game. But I didn't think he was, I didn't think he played great. He was kind of quiet. He wasn't bad, but he was kind of quiet. He picked up some nice nice spots, did some good connections, was in the right areas, was active and all that. But I didn't think he really, dominated the game like I've seen him do in the past. Another impressive thing, whenever you control the game that much, we didn't even get to see the best of Tyler Adams, who's an important player in the midfield. Again, I thought he played very good. He was able to get the ball out wide when he needed to. He's not the most creative of holding midfielders, but he didn't need to show off his strengths because we were never in danger. Paraguay couldn't get out of the half. By the way, Paraguay, shocking. I thought they were really bad. They looked like the atmosphere was getting to them. SoFi was rocking, and they just seemed like they couldn't handle the USMNT, and They really should never have gotten off the team bus. They would have had a better chance. I mean, shocking, absolutely like terrible, and they're making their first World Cup appearance since 2010. So that was rough. That was rough, and to lose 4-1 is very difficult because now goal differential is a big differential. Is a big important thing if you want to move on as a third place team, and that might be where they are gonna be like if they want to get out of the group. That might be the realistic odds. So yeah, that Paraguay shocking, but the U.S. just everybody looked great. Sergio Dest as well. When I was going on saying players that look good, Sergio Dest taking on his man. If the U.S. were just a little bit more efficient with the final ball, they had a lot of opportunities where they had chances to, get the cross in, get a low cross in. If some of those were a little bit more in dangerous areas, or they had a little bit more, cutting edge in that first half, it could have been like 6 or 7. I mean, there was literally one team on the pitch. It was the greatest performance the U.S. men's national team has ever had in a World Cup. Yeah, we had a very good half in 2003 against Portugal, but near the end, they were hanging on. They were hanging on in that game. It ended up being 3-2. I thought this was a very similar performance to what the U.S. had at the last World Cup against Wales in that first half. But the difference in this one and this game and that game is that we had a more cutting edge in this one, to where it was 3-0 at halftime and Paraguay had no real shot in that second half. But the U.S. weren't clinical enough in the first half against Wales in 2022. So that allowed Wales to get back into it in that second half with that penalty, 1-1, and it finished 1-1. But I thought that first half just looked exactly the same as the U.S. played this first half, except the U.S. scored more goals here. But in a total game perspective, this is the best performance the USMNT has ever had in the World Cup. Best result, no, not best result. Not best results, because we beat Mexico in knockout stage game, or only knockout stage win. But out of group stage results, the best result. I mean, it's the record for the most goals ever scored, and this is a sort of performance that gets all the because there's the diehard USMNT fans, but there's also the diehard USMNT fans that are fed up. And I was in that realm of fed up. After Copa America, honestly speaking, I didn't lose love for the team, but I was very, very frustrated, and I did get a little bit, I'll say a little disengaged. Like, I paid attention to Gold Cup and all, and I tuned in and all that, but my heart wasn't in it last Gold Cup when we lost into the final. I couldn't tell you that I was devastated that we lost, or not, or yeah, the final to Mexico. I couldn't tell you we were devastated. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we had a B or C team. But still, like, I was fed up with the team after Copa America. I was fed up with the team after they decided to bring back Berhalter. But this sort of performance is a way not only to get like people like me back into the diehard mix, but it's also a way to get the casuals to become genuine supporters. So honestly, great performance. This is an important opportunity to grow football in the country. And so far, great start. And this is a sort of start that can catalyst us to go on a dream run at this World Cup as hosts. Because let's be honest, us alongside Mexico, maybe you can also say Canada, but especially us in Mexico, we are the most talented country to host the World Cup in football since 2014. These two teams are better than the Russian 2018 team that went to a quarterfinal amazingly. These two teams are definitely better than Qatar. Canada is better than Qatar. I'd say Canada's better than Qatar. I'd say Canada probably, when it comes to talent, is better than that Russia team as well. Yeah, I'd say Canada is better than that Russia team as well. So I'll put us three hosts right now. We are the best team to host the World Cup since 2014. And that's the last time a team kind of made it far. They made the semifinals, Brazil, but I say kinda because Brazil should win a tournament as host. They should win a tournament on neutral ground, let alone host. But that's the last time, because Russia went to the quarterfinals too. That was a good run. But see, Russia is a solid team. We are better than Russia 2018. Are we going to make a quarterfinal? Is Mexico going to make a quarterfinal? I don't know. Is Qatar or Canada going to make a quarterfinal? I don't know. But being a host has such a big, big impact. So yeah, I just thought U.S. were brilliant, dominant. As far as Mexico and Canada as well, I thought, let's go to Mexico first real quick. Mexico, again, very, very solid win. looked dominant against a poor opposition, took advantage of poor opposition against South Africa. South Africa trying to play out of the back, just freaking. Sometimes I just, when you watch teams that just press up high with no regard for human life, even though they're not that good quality wise, or they don't have the ability to really be competing with the better teams, but they still decide to press up high and play these high lines, and they just get smashed. Or the teams that just play out of the back despite the circumstances. That's what South Africa were doing. They were playing out of the back, not being able to read the room. You're going up against Mexico at the Azteca, and you've already lost the ball a couple times, but you're continuing over and over again to try to play out of the back. I mean, are you trying to win a beauty pageant, or are you trying to win a football game? I was just so confused. I couldn't even say I was frustrated. I was just confused. Like, did they really think that they were gonna go into the Azteca and play out of the back and play this sort of style of football and outplay Mexico in the opening game of the World Cup? They they deserve everything that happened for them for that pure arrogance. It's either arrogance or delusion. One of those two. It's either arrogance or delusion, and they were made to pay really quickly. 8 minutes in, Julio Quinones, and once he scored that, it was over. They got that red card as well. And by the way, I'm not gonna lie, Mexico was not that impressive. Even going up against 10 men, they didn't create many chances. South Africa, after conceding that goal, honestly, South Africa was the ones that they weren't generating any chances. They couldn't get the ball to their attacker, but they looked comfortable. Mexico never pelted them. Mexico never put South Africa under sustained pressure throughout the entire game. That's kind of what they are under Javier Aguirre. This is a team that's had a really rough 6-year stretch. They brought in Javier Aguirre, more defensive coach, to shore up, to make them hard to beat, to make them solid. So even though they were playing at home at the Azteca against weak opposition, they still don't really have the qualities to take advantage of that. That's why I'll say I think the U.S. are still the kings of CONCACAF, and I do think Mexico is still second. Slightly ahead of Canada, but only because of that atmosphere. Now, if you take Mexico out of the Azteca, like let's say Mexico and Canada were to face off in America, I don't know. I don't know. That's very 50-50. But I do think USA are the best team and are the kings of CONCACAF. And now, speaking of going to that Canada game, because I guess segue into that Canada game, me talking about Canada. Look, I think this game reminded me a lot of the Canada-Belgium game back in 2022, where Canada dominated, battered Belgium, but didn't take advantage of the opportunities when they came, even missed a penalty early on. Alphonso Davies missed a penalty, conceded a goal at the end of the half, one of those completely against the run of play, long ball into Batshuayi, nice little finish, 1-0, no sustained pressure from Belgium, just one of those, and Canada just controlled possession, dictated tempo, created a lot of opportunities, but created a lot of opportunities, but not great opportunities because they lacked that cutting edge. They lacked that little bit of class and quality required in those situations, in those big time moments. And I thought we were going to see another one of those performances against Bosnia. I mean, I thought Bosnia did play a solid game in the first half. They ran out of legs because they were defending for their lives in that second half. But in the first half, they played the game that they wanted to play. They made it physical. They played it with direct, just like Czechia did against South Korea. They took advantage of the set piece when they got it. They scored off it. They looked dangerous. They also had an opportunity straight out of the gate. Very, very good opportunity. I forgot the name of the Bosnian, and he skies it. He should have at least targeted the goal, or he should have at least hit the target, but he skied it. And they had an opportunity later on to double it as well, 1-on-1 going in behind, and couldn't get it to go. I think the keeper made a nice little save there on the 1-on-1. So yeah, and then eventually when I thought this was gonna be the same thing that we saw from that 2018 Belgium game, but a moment of class, a moment of some quality that they couldn't produce in that Belgium game in 2022 in that opener. They were able to find that moment, 78th minute. After I thought Canada were the better team, especially in that second half. They were battering them. They were creating their opportunities, but it was lacking that cutting edge, lacked a little bit of class. You bring on Kyle Larin, and also you bring on Promise David as well. and it was a great goal. I mean, absolutely great goal. Everything about it. One touch, intricate passing. The ball played in. I don't know what's better. The ball played in, first time ball with the outside of his foot by Promise David into Kyle Laren's path, or Kyle Laren controlling the airborne touch, airborne ball, controlling it into his pass, turning, and the finish. The finish was deflected, but that touch, that turn, I don't know what was better. It was both just moments of class and quality, and that's what's taken to beat defenses a defense like Bosnia that want to make it difficult. And Canada got that moment. Canada had that little bit of class and quality that they didn't have in 2020. And look, I have to be honest. If they don't get that moment in that 78th minute, if they don't equalize, I could see a possibility Canada don't get out of the group stages. I really do. If they lose this game, because I think it's guaranteed that they'll lose to Switzerland, and then 3 points against Qatar may not be enough unless you smash them and you kind of have to pray. But with that point, I think that a point gives them a lot of safety. And a lot of people saying this was a point lost rather than a point won because of the way that they battered them, and they should have gone on and won it. Which they had an opportunity at the end. Great defending again from the Bosnians, last ditch defending, last ditch block. But the reason why I'll say it's a point when they were down 40, 50 plus minutes, a majority of the game they were down chasing the game, trying to get the equalizer, and they finally got that magical moment that's electric. It's their first point ever in a World Cup as well, and if they don't get that goal, which is not a guarantee that they're going to get the goal despite them having all the possession and creating all the chances, if they don't get that goal, they're going to lose the game. So I do think it is more point won than point loss. I think it's a good point for both teams. I think both teams can be, happy about the point. I think Canada can think that they deserve the more, but at the end of the day, you need to score. At the end of the day, you need to find the finishing touch. So yeah, impressed with Canada. Or not impressed with Canada, but I thought that was an important moment for Canada. I was impressed also with Bosnia as well. I thought they played the game that they wanted. Again, they were unfortunate as well. But at the same time, I don't think they can really say we deserved more because, well, in that second half, you were hanging on. Even you were hanging on at the end. You could have lost all 3 points, which I think would have been a little bit harsh because they defended for their lives and they really played for their country. And it was beautiful to see. The World Cup has been beautiful to see. These guys, literally, we are seeing guys literally die for their countries on that field. And that's what makes this better than any other sporting event. Forget the highest level of football. The highest level of sport is what we're watching. Even though these nations have players that maybe a lot of us haven't seen before. Like, I'm gonna be 100% honest. I couldn't name 99% of the Bosnian players. I'm just being 100% for real. But when it comes on the World Cup stage, I am glued to my TV. It's just different. And yeah, it was sensational to watch. So I think it's a point gain rather than point loss for both teams. I think this gives both teams a really good chance of getting out, with the third place teams getting out. So yeah, genuinely good. And as for Canada, Jonathan David, he's a problem. He was not good enough. He hasn't been good enough for Juventus all season, and I thought he was really, really poor as well in this game. We saw Kyle Laren. He took advantage of the opportunity when he came literally minutes after coming on scoring that goal, while Jonathan David really stunk up the joint, honestly. I thought he was pretty hard to watch, and he had that opportunity where I think it was on his left foot, where he just completely scuffs at it. He's the number 10. Alphonso Davies is not fit enough to play, not fit enough to start. He's the guy that needs to step up, and he wasn't good enough. I thought Kyle Laren was better than him when coming on. I thought Ali Ahmed was better than him coming on. I thought Promise David was better than him coming on. So, honestly, I'd pull him and bring in Kyle Laren into my starting lineup next game. I wouldn't drop Olowesi. I thought he had a solid outing. He was the guy that people perceived as the one that is coming in for Kyle Laren. Nah, I think Jonathan David should be going to the bench, which is crazy for me to say, but I just he hasn't been good enough at Juventus and now for Canada as well. This is supposed to be his moment. But we're running out of time. We got to quickly touch up on South Korea, Czechia. Look, up to the U.S. game, I was getting ready to write down what I'm gonna talk about today, and my main takeaway was gonna be South Korea has been the best team so far in the World Cup through 4 games, but the U.S. they just ran over that and ran over it again and ran over it again. They were by far the best team. But South Korea played a really, really good game against Czechia. I gotta say, another one of those games, another one of those teams that want to be physical, that want to be direct, that want to be, that want to be defensively stout and rely on physicality. And they did that well with Patrick Schick up top, Thomas Susek in midfield, getting the corner kicks, the long throws from Proval. Literally what Czechia wants to do. They pulled it off to a T for 60 minutes or so. I mean, South Korea just looked so much better than them in a footballing aspect. They were controlling possession. They dictated tempo. They had the intricate passing as well. They were moving the ball around. They were the ones dictating how the game went. They were the ones generating chances. I mean, Son had so many very good opportunities. Lee King in played a brilliant, brilliant game. South Korea were the main protagonists in this one for the entire game, but especially leading up to the 60th minute, and then boom, long throw, Czechia score. And I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, that's why football is such a cruel sport. But the mentality to concede that way, it's easy to put your head down and kind of just collapse after that. But South Korea continued to press on and continue to go at it and chip at it and be patient. And the breakthrough came minutes later. And by the way, another very, very beautiful goal. Another moment of quality as well. I forget the South Korean player who plays it in. It was a nice one-touch ball to play him in behind. To play in Hwang In-beom. And just class and quality to compose himself. Hesitation, fake shot, cut inside, fooled the keeper and the defender, and then a nice little chip. And the chip was so delicate that it almost allowed the defender to get back in it, but not that delicate enough. It got in, and it was just brilliant, and it was more than deserved because they were the better team. And to respond that away, and once they scored that goal, the only way I saw was Korea was gonna win, and then Czechia make it 2-1 on another set piece, and I'm just thinking, what in the? It's just not Korea's day. But then the flag goes up, and I'm looking at the replay, and man, Susek, he is like this much offside. So the Koreans were very, very fortunate, and then they chip at it again, and the moment comes. I'm butchering these South Korean names. Hwang-gil is able to cash in on a cross, get his foot onto it, make it 2-1. And yeah, South Korea were deserved winners. I honestly were so impressed with South Korea. They outplayed them, controlled 62% of the possession, 15 shots to 8, 7 shots on target to 4 shots for Czechia. And all the Czechia shots on target, or in most of their shots, came off from set pieces, headers, things like that. I was just so impressed because I was looking at South Korea in the lead up to this. Especially, I watched them in full against Ivory Coast, and I just thought they were pretty poor. But no. That's a footballing team. They're a very good team, and they look like the best team in Group A up to this point. They played much better than Mexico played against South Africa, I'll tell you that. But the thing that does concern me is they are pretty weak at defending those set pieces, those direct, long balls, things like that, where it requires a little bit of some physicality, some tough defending. They're weak in that area because even at the end, Czechia was peltering them. If it wasn't for their keeper making some really, really good saves, man, Czechia would have gotten out of that game with a point. So that is an issue. The Koreans need to be more stout defensively when it comes to defending set pieces. But when it comes to playing football, they're the better team than Czechia. And honestly, are they going to beat Mexico when they play next Friday or next Thursday or whenever they play? Look, that game is going to be in Guadalajara. And even Guadalajara is a very good is a very difficult atmosphere. It's not the Azteca, but it's still very difficult to beat Mexico there. So are they going to beat Mexico in Mexico? I don't think so. But if they were playing Mexico in a neutral site, South Korea would be the favorites based on what we saw from match day 1. Absolutely. So I'm very, very interested to see. I don't want to do a full preview in that game as well. But I am very interested to see, is Mexico, do they let South Korea have the ball? Are they going to be more expensive? Is it going to be an end-to-end game? we'll get to that when we get to that. But that's gonna be a very, very good one. Speaking of United States, they take on they take on Australia in Seattle. Canada will move on and they will take on, I believe, Qatar. I'd have to fact check that. But Canada will move on to Vancouver. Yeah, they'll play Qatar. So that should be their free 3 points right there. They have to take care of Qatar. While, who did? And then Bosnia, obviously, Canada playing Qatar. Bosnia will take on Switzerland as well. Czechia take on South Africa next week. So looking forward to all those games. So Group A and Group B match day ones are wrapped up. And yeah, this World Cup, man, it's going to be the gift that keeps on giving. So just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. And realize, like, sometimes we don't realize, how great of a time period we're in until we're stuck in the middle of December, January, watching one of our club teams suffering, and we're like, damn, a couple months ago I was enjoying the World Cup. So let's enjoy this. Let's enjoy this celebration. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we have some cracking games as well. It's the first 4 match days of the World Cup. We're going to have Switzerland, Qatar, Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, Scotland, and Australia, Turkey. So let's enjoy those.